My name is Monica Lund, and I'm going to demonstrate the different movements of the synovial joints. The first one is flexion. Flexion is a movement that decreases a joint angle. Usually when you kind of like bend your elbow towards you, this would be flexation or flexion. When you're moving from like 180 degrees going from 90 degrees or lower. Then the next one is extension, which is the opposite. So you're straightening that out and you're using this joint here to straighten out your plane here, straighten out your arm. Usually it is bringing it back to what's called zero position. So you have the directional terms here are all in regards to the anatomically correct position when you're standing in the position, and all your joints are said to be then in the zero position when you're standing with your palms out and your feet like this, you're facing forward. This is the anatomically correct position. That is considered the zero position. So any of your positions, the flexion and the extension, all of these are going from the zero position into a position or back out to the zero position. Okay. Next one is, so we do the extension. So we've got abduction and adduction. So you've got your midline. Sorry, I'm gonna set that down. You've got your midline of your body, and when you are doing your the adduction, you're moving things away from the midline. So your arms outward, that would be an adduction. Your legs spreading apart, that would be adduction. Your fingers spreading away from the midline, this would be your midline, that's adduction. Abduction. Adduction is moving it towards, so moving it back in towards that midline. So going from abduction to adduction is going towards. From abduction to adduction, it's like you're adding it back to your body. So there's your midline, and you've got your abduction, so it's away from the midline. Adduction, you're adding it back to your body, add back to the midline, so adduction. Okay, that will make sense. And the next one we have is elevation and depression. So this one is, you're kind of like, I mean, it kind of is self-explanatory. An elevation would be like lifting your shoulders up. So these joints, all these, your shoulder joints are moving upward. They're stationary, but your ligaments are pulling things upward, and then you're going right back down. So there's your up and down. Let's see here. You've got protraction and retraction. So protraction would be when you're taking the your arms and you're going to be pushing outward, like you're pushing a door open or you're pushing on something. That would be your protraction. Your retraction would be taking and just relaxing back to zero position with your arms. Okay, so protraction, retraction. Okay. Circumduction is where you have a stationary, everything here would be stationary, and you're moving these joints down here as an example in a circular motion. Okay, going in a circular motion. So you think circumduction, circumduction, circular motion. That one that's what helped me with that one. which is different than rotation. You're not rotating your wrist, it's circulating your wrist. Rotation is when you are moving your body, like you got medial and lateral rotation. So medial rotation is where you're taking your forearm, and it's like you're gonna go and you're gonna hug your other arm. So you're bringing it, and the humerus bone right here is rotating this way. Okay, so that it would be medial internal rotation. Internal rotation. You're running it midline internal rotation. So going from 0 to your medial and internal rotation. Okay. Lateral would be the opposite. So you're moving your humerus, and the joint here is moving and rotating outward. Okay, that would be lateral external rotation, and rotation is just that way. You're just rotating that joint in and out, back and forth. You're not circulating it like the circular. That's not rotation. Rotation is moving it in and out, kind of like a door hinge. Okay. Supination and pronation. So supination is palm facing upward. So let's see if I can figure this out. So the forearm is in a movement that turns the palm face to face in an upward movement. Okay. So that would be supination. Pronation is downward, pointing it downward. So upward, downward. Okay, so it's opposite of each other. Okay, now the last ones we have is the dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion. So for this one, let's see if I can I might not get far enough back. I might have to move this back a little bit more. So I want to get my foot in there. Okay. Okay, so you see my foot here. So with dorsiflexion, it's when you're moving your toes upward. Okay, kind of towards the sky. The plantar is like you're gonna hit a gas pedal. So you're pointing down, pushing down on something. Okay, so that's plantar, dorsal. Okay. So to summarize it, you got flexion, which decreases your joint angle. The extension straightens the joint back to 0 position. Abduction is away from the midline, so away from your body, midline. Adduction, you're adding it back to your midline, so towards the midline of the body. Elevation is raising the body part vertically in the frontal plane. Depression is lowering the body part in the same plane. Protraction is the anterior movement in the horizontal plane. Retraction is the posterior movement, returning it to 0 position. Circumduction is one end is stationary, the other end moves in a circular motion. Rotation is where the bone spins on a longitude axis. So remember the rotation. Those two are different. Supination is palm facing upward. Pronation is palm facing downward. So anterior, posterior. Dorsiflexion is toes are elevated. Plantar flexion is toes are pointed down. So that's just kind of a summary of all that. I hope this was very helpful. It was very helpful for me to study it and to kind of get some things like the whole adding it back to your body, just kind of figuring out those kind of things to help me remember. If you have any questions or anything, just comment below.